What's up, the squad? Back with another video. Y'all see the titles go down. Make sure y'all hit the like button and the subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. So before we get in this video, definitely want to say that I appreciate y'all. Much love to every single last one of y'all. Definitely been some challenges, you know, when it comes to there's a lot of people that are saying that their comments have been deleted, likes have been taken away, they're unsubscribed. They're not getting notifications. I definitely apologize for that. It's not me doing it. I don't know what's going on within my channel, but I do pray that things get better, you know, within it. What y'all have here says Zohran Mamdani does a complete 180 just a day before meeting with President Trump. There's a lot that we have to cover today. Let's check it out.
My administration would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker. I intend to make it clear to President Trump that I will work with him on any agenda that benefits New Yorkers.
So one thing about it that people don't get, this is obviously back in August of 2025, said my administration would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. Then come to find out, you know, it's November 20th, said I intend to make it clear to President Trump that I will work on him with him on any agenda. So not only have that, you have literally you know, liberals that's literally getting on the internet and basically making it seem like there are a lot of, you know, conservatives that are upset, you know, because of the whole meeting with Zohran Mamdani. I truly feel like people, and I mean this with everybody, I feel like people thought it would be something totally different, but I knew that it would be nothing. It would be nothing but, you know, cordial, you know, and more so of something, you know, to gather, you know, information and just see, you know, where you know each is standing. One thing about it, I truly feel like it's one of those things. President Trump obviously has, you know, that class, has that leadership, and that's purely what, you know, he showed. Check it out right here, y'all.
I honestly don't think it's just me, but I find it so funny that Mamdani walks into the Oval Office, trims the socks off of Donald Trump, and then has this great conversation. They're buddies. Trump even says he'd gladly live in New York City with him being mayor. The conservatives have to be so mad right now. Like, so mad. I mean, all the complaining, all the upsetness, all the he's a socialist, he's not Christian, he's gonna ruin the world or the country. I don't know what Trump's up to, but this is kind of funny. I'll take it. Whatever. It is what it is, I guess, right?
Nobody's mad about this. We truly, if you being a real one, you truly know what it was gonna be like. I feel like they think they think we were being more so of, okay, President Trump is supposed to act like this towards Zohran Mamdani. President Trump is supposed to, and I feel like that's one of the things that they constantly do, not only just in this situation, but every situation that there is. You know, when they think that it's all so much of, let's be disrespectful, let's be violent, and it's not that case at all. That's literally how they act, you know, and it's pretty wild, you know, that, you know, they go there. But y'all have it here. President Trump hosts New York Mayor-elect Mamdani in an Oval Office meeting. Says here the two discuss crime reduction, housing, you know, in the city's high living costs, with Trump pledging federal support and calling Mamdani a rational person, despite past campaign tensions. Trump dismissed prior criticisms, joked about old labels, and even defended Mamdani's flight to D.C. The meeting highlighted potential cooperation across divides as Mamdani prepares to take office in January, focusing on results for New Yorkers. So obviously there are you know, a few clips that, you know, were, you know, they came out, you know, about this, key clips, you know, just like this one. He was asked, do you consider yourself a leader of the Democrats? Check out what was said.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think Leader Schumer's and Leader Jeffries, you know, have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused in New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats. I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great. And I appreciate what counted.
I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like a lot of times listening to this conversation, what a lot of people miss, especially the ones coming from the left, obviously having something to say, and that's why I showed y'all that clip. I feel like so many people look at President Trump as, okay, they're about to have this meeting. He's about to be completely disrespectful. I feel like it's one of those things, like I've always said, that grandparent, that gives you that tough love. Just that conversation of him speaking and saying that, it's either going to go good or it's going to go extremely bad. And I feel like that's just one of those things of just being real. I don't feel like there shouldn't be any type of sugarcoating coming from Mamdani or President Trump when it comes to this. Just realness. And that's purely what President Trump put out. It's either going to go good or it's going to go bad. I mean, regardless. And I feel like that's just one of those things, about it. And, when it comes to Mamdani doing this, I truly, truly feel as if, it's one of those things that he has to learn. I also feel like, within this and seeing the clips that he got, humbled. I feel like there's so much, I'm about to listen to people because the people feel this way, and even, he feels this way, and this, that, and the other, and keeping those tensions high, he definitely walked in there, and, you can definitely tell, a little shaky, a little nervous. And honestly, that's how I feel about it. Check it out right here.
President, you say you love New York City. Mr. Mamdani, does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable, and I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living, and I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes. One more. Go ahead. One or two more. Go ahead.
So one thing about it is that there are, plenty of people that obviously look at President Trump and seeing this. And I know, just by, his body language, speaking on Mamdani's, body language, he's definitely, it's one of those things, I guess a hard pill to swallow, for him, sadly, I'm not even gonna lie. It's just, it's something that, he has to understand, when it comes down to it. I truly feel as if, and I said this to Retro Steph earlier, it's one of those things of a learning experience. We learn every day. We truly learn every day. But having somebody that has been in this position before, obviously knowing how things work, the best thing for Mamdani to do is to learn, when it comes to a lot of this. And I definitely feel like, he should be more humble, about a lot of this. I'm not even gonna lie. One thing about this, and, again, what I've said, says here, New York City Mayor-elect Mamdani just admitted President Trump's successful campaign style and social media usage inspired his campaign. Check it out.
The mayor-elect. You're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though, and I just wonder to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media use inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focus on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
And one thing about that is, again, it's one of those things. I had put a post out. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't put it in. on in this video. But I had a post, and before this meeting, President Trump basically explained, in a humble way, in a cool way, that basically where that he feel as if things will go, smooth. Things will go, one of those things, to calm the situation down. I feel like so many people, from, you have both sides, that obviously feel as if, this meeting was to go, a different way. And me personally, it didn't. It didn't at all. Check it out.
Mr. President, you've threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you've called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out, and I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So We're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
So one of the things is, and I know a lot of people, again, feel a different way about this. And, you have people that has been in my comments. You have people on X that's saying, oh, well, President Trump and others shouldn't trust Mamdani. Trust and believe. You definitely see that President Trump has a lot, and I'm gonna show y'all why. But he has a lot that he has, on standby. He has a lot that, he has a plan. He definitely has a plan, for a lot. And I feel like it was just one of those things. Mamdani had a lot to say when it comes to, on the news, in this interview, these different places. But then I feel like when you actually meet face to face, you actually talk about these problems, and it's truly there. I truly feel like it's a different way. And one thing about it is that, it's just those actions. It's just those actions we have to see. This is Zohran Mamdani, socialist chief of staff, says New York will be a sanctuary city and all immigrants will be safe under Zohran. Only cooperating with ICE in extreme violent felony cases after illegals harms, an American. Trust and believe. I truly feel as if this is just how I feel about this. I truly feel as if this right here is not going to go the right way. And I'm going to show y'all why. I'm going to show y'all exactly why. I have two clips that I'm going to show y'all, and y'all going to see why I say that. But I truly feel like it's not going to go how they think it is. We have this talk, oh, well, you hear President Trump tell Mamdani, well, if it gets to this point, trust and believe. Like I said, they have a plan. Check it out.
We certainly were clear about our disagreements in the room, and the mayor-elect made clear that we uphold sanctuary laws in our city and all immigrants will be safe in our city. We also made very clear that we feel there has been inhumane raids just this week. So it will be a future conversation with the president, but we again grounded in an overall desire and the acknowledgement that our sanctuary city laws allow cooperation in extreme violent felony cases. And that is something where I think we have alignment.
Trust and believe. I feel like they think they know what they're dealing with and what they're doing, but they truly don't. Based off of what Mamdani started with, where he's going, what he has said, New Yorkers there, especially when you're talking about these legal aliens, they all look, and act on, a different way, and will act on a different way. I mean, you see what's going on in Chicago right now. It's been pretty bad. Just alone, I'm pretty sure it was last night, if I'm not mistaken, for a tree lighting. They usually have these tree lightings in these cities. Pretty sure we have one as well. I don't know when it is. I don't even think I've ever been. And they have them, of course, those downtown areas. And it was 300 of kids. It was more than 300 kids rioting. Pretty sure it was one homicide. and I'm pretty sure 9 or 10 people, shot. So there's a lot, and you can't, compare, but you almost can, seeing, how things are going with both these mayors, and I truly feel as if they think they know what they're dealing with and what they're doing, but they truly don't. They need to be listening to President Trump. You have it here, though. After the meeting, President Trump confirms he's ready to send the National Guard to New York City if needed. He says he has spoke about it with Zohran Mamdani in their meeting yesterday in the Oval Office. Check it out.
New York City. Do you still plan to deploy the National Guard to New York City?
If they need it. Right now, other places need it more, but if they need it, we had a very good meeting yesterday. We talked about that. But if they need it, I would do it. Mr. President, are you willing?
Definitely. So he said if they need it, they'll, he will do it. And in other words, we all know they definitely need it. Definitely need it. If I can say Indianapolis needs it, New York definitely needs it. Here's Caroline Levitt, y'all.
Moving forward. But again, it doesn't mean, Sean, that President Trump is ever going to change his values. And we know, and the president knows, and the American people know, that ultimately President Trump's policies work and capitalism works. And if you look at what President Trump has already done with respect to the economy, there was a lot of talk on the issue of cost of living because it continues to be a concern for voters, and President Trump is very well aware of that. But look at what he's done thus far. It's a proven economic formula that is working. When you combine a massive deregulatory campaign to get the government out of the way of small business and American industry, when you look at what he's done with respect to energy independence, to unleash America's resources right here at home to drive down oil prices, which we've already seen result in a 20% decrease in oil prices. We have lower prices at the pump today than we did years ago, and those prices are going to continue to decline. If you look at the cost of everyday items, they are going down, and again, they will continue to because of President Trump's economic formula. And then, of course, tax cuts. That is President Trump's bread and butter issue, as one may say. Look at the one big beautiful bill. He already got that done within 6 months in office, and the American people, including in New York, especially in New York, are going to see the fruits of that labor next year when there is more money back in their pockets, when they are keeping more of their hard-earned paychecks to catch up on bills and to pay for everyday's life expenses. So the President Trump's economic formula does work. It is working. It worked in his first term. And who knows, maybe Mayor Mamdani will go back to New York and maybe he learned a few things from President.
Exactly. And I feel like that's one of the things that, I've said, that he has to learn. He has to learn. One of those things we truly see that he hasn't had a job like this, so it is a learning process. We've seen how it works out for some, and obviously it's not working out, too much already for Mamdani. So the best thing that he can do is learn, truly. One thing about it too as well is that I truly feel like, and I'm saying this because, Retro Steph and my pops, y'all know my pops. Obviously, we all have our differences. With things. Me and Retro Steph obviously, have that same differences, but not with my father. And, Retro Steph was explaining to him that basically it's important, and showing him and telling him there's things that has changed, since that Biden administration. And again, you have individuals that constantly, it doesn't matter. And I say this all the time. It doesn't matter what President Trump does, bringing down cost of living, bringing down prices, on groceries, bringing down prices on gas. It does not matter. One thing about it is that, they'll continue to do is complain about something instead of actually looking at, what's going different, positive, from now and the Biden administration. I feel like a lot of people don't look at that. They have so much hate towards Trump that they're not looking at the bigger picture when it comes down, and I truly don't get that whatsoever. One thing about it, though, is that I truly feel like President Trump will not, obviously been an inch, when it comes down to, with Zohran Mamdani. But one thing about it, President Trump, have said, it was a great honor meeting Zohran Mamdani. the new mayor of New York City. Took, a few pictures. This is his post, on True Social. Y'all go check it out. But one thing about it is that Zohran Mamdani definitely has a lot of learning to do, and definitely feel like this meeting it definitely was well needed, for Zohran. And that, I know y'all probably looking at the simple fact with Recklezz. I don't like Zohran, and trust me, I'm not a fan of him either. But one thing about it is that it's definitely important, for these individuals to actually, listen, when it comes down to it, listen, and I feel like it's definitely important, for that. But y'all let me know y'all comments and thoughts down below. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.